What makes a genius? Is it years of formal study and thousands of hours spent poring over books? Or are those people predetermined to be geniuses based on certain physical aspects and/or overt behavior? Many scientists tend to think the latter, and you can find out whether you're a closet genius or if you exhibit any of these signs. Number 1 is actually pretty surprising, so stay tuned for that as I bring you 10 signs that you are actually a genius. Number 10. You take frequent naps. Research studies suggest that frequent naps make you rejuvenate your brain and makes you smarter. That might be a bit debatable, but your body does need rest because lack of sleep can mess with your cognitive function. Many geniuses have actually perfected the power nap. Since a lot of them tend to believe that it is absolutely imperative to stay ahead, they seem to think that sleeping deprives them of this opportunity. Hence, they'd reduce the time they rest at night in order to have more functional waking hours. Instead, they'd take advantage of the so-called power nap. Both Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison were famous advocates of this principle. The power nap is a concept which determines that you could get about 20 minutes worth of nap to recharge and reset your brain in a working mode quickly. This fights off fatigue temporarily, allowing you to keep on working for longer. Of course, there are certain limits. You can't be doing so for a longer period of time, and you would still need a longer, uninterrupted cycle for your brain to recover. Failing to do so would place you in a state of sleep deprivation, which is particularly harmful. Number 9. You doodle. Doodling has long been thought of as being a sign that you're bored or that you lack concentration, but researchers have found that to be extremely far from the truth. When researchers looked inside the brains of people who were doodling, coloring, and free drawing using functional near-infrared spectroscopy, they found that all three activated the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain involved in managing your ability to problem solve, reason, use logic, and remember things. It's also the part of the brain you use to direct your attention, which is serious business when it comes to staying focused in conference rooms, classrooms, or even on that boring teleconference where Joe is going over the very same thing he presented last week. According to research by Jackie Andrade, PhD of the University of Plymouth, UK, when participants monitored a monotonous mock telephone message for the names of people coming to a party, the doodling group performed better on the monitoring task and recalled 29% more information on a surprise memory test than those who did not doodle. To me, that's evidence that doodling isn't a sign of a distracted brain. Instead, it is the useful tool of a brain that is trying to stay focused. I've also heard interesting things involving music as well. Number 8. You're extremely messy. Okay, it turns out that having a messy desk or looking disheveled in general is not just a stereotypical trope that Hollywood uses to indicate that a person is a genius, it may actually be a sign that a person is an actual genius. Researchers at the University of Minnesota recently tested how well students came up with new ideas when working in orderly versus disorderly work areas. The study showed that participants in the messy room generated the same number of ideas for new uses as their clean room counterparts, but their ideas were rated as more interesting and creative when evaluated by impartial judges. Here's what Albert Einstein said about a messy desk. If a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind, of what then is an empty desk a sign? Being messy means you're unconventional and break from tradition to do things. Number 7. You have blue eyes. The color of your eyes could determine your achievements in life. At least that's what scientists say. They claim those with blue eyes are more likely to sparkle academically than those with brown. They're more intelligent and gain more qualifications because they study more effectively and perform better in exams. In reaction time trials conducted by US scientists, the brown-eyed performed better, making them more likely to succeed at activities such as football, hockey, and rugby. But the researchers concluded that those with lighter eyes appeared to be better strategic thinkers. Blue-eyed boys and girls proved to be more successful in activities that required them to plan and structure their time, such as golf, cross-country running, and studying for exams. The discovery might help explain the success of such disparate individuals such as Stephen Hawking, Alexander Fleming, Marie Curie, Stephen Fry, and Lily Cole. Number 6. You regularly converse with yourself. Talking to yourself has long been associated with crazy people. But as it turns out, it's not only completely sane, but if you find yourself holding regular conversations with yourself, it might actually mean you are a grade A genius. In a study printed in the Quarterly Journal of Experimental Psychology, psychologists Daniel Swigley and Gary Lupia hypothesized that talking to yourself was actually beneficial. In one experiment, Swigley and Lupia gave 20 people the name of an object, which they were then told to find in the supermarket. During the first set of trials, the participants were bound to silence. In the second set, they repeated the object's name out loud as they looked for it in the store. According to the results, test subjects found the object with greater ease when they spoke to themselves while searching. Saying things out loud sparks memory. It solidifies the endgame and makes it more tangible. Talking to yourself also means that you're self-reliant. Like Albert Einstein, who was highly gifted and acquired early in his life the ability to exploit his talents, people who talk to themselves are highly proficient and count on only themselves to figure out what they need. Number 5. You tend to stay up late. According to Psychology Today, intelligent people are more likely to be nocturnal than people with lower IQ scores. In a study run on young Americans, results showed that intelligent individuals went to bed later on weeknights and weekends than their less intelligent counterparts. In Study magazine, Satoshi Kanazawa, a psychologist at the London School of Economics and Political Science, reported that IQ average and sleeping patterns are most definitely related, proving that those who play under the moon are indeed more intelligent human beings. His analysis goes back to ancient times, asserting the idea that even in primitive years, people have been known to rise and fall with the sun. Average brains were conditioned to follow this sleep pattern, while the more inquisitive intellectual ones want to defy that pattern and create their own. According to the study, those with IQs less than 75 went to bed by 11:30 p.m. on weeknights in early adulthood, while those with IQs over 125 went to bed at around 12:30 p.m. Number 4. You don't have a lot of friends. Man, that one hits me kinda personally. Geniuses on TV and in movies tend to be portrayed as people with a very small social circle. But there is actually a reason why geniuses have fewer friends than average, and are generally socially awkward. People with higher IQs tend to derive less pleasure from social interaction. This isn't to say that social butterflies can't be intelligent, of course, but rather that intelligent people tend to be hardwired for the loner lifestyle. You may be perfectly content with very little social interaction, and that might say a lot about you. This can come down to many different factors. For example, generalized anxiety has been proven to occur at a higher rate among people with above-average intelligence. Feeling anxiety around friends or acquaintances is certainly something that might inspire you to crave alone time. This may also find you seeking the company of one or two close friends rather than a large social group. Number 3. You like to eat chocolate. Researchers have found that cocoa flavonols could boost cognitive function within just a few hours of consumption. In simpler words, eating chocolate can make you smarter. It was also discovered that eating chocolate regularly not only makes you smarter, but can keep you smart. Flavonols are naturally occurring compounds found in various types of plants, with some of the highest levels found in the beans of the cocoa tree. Flavonols have antioxidant properties, meaning that they have the ability to reduce the effects of cell damage caused by oxidative stress. What is more, studies have shown that they can also improve blood vessel function and lower blood pressure. But the benefits of flavonols do not end there. A new review, recently published in the journal Frontiers in Nutrition, suggests that cocoa flavonols could benefit cognitive functioning. The study uncovered evidence of a link between consumption of cocoa flavonols and almost immediate improvements in working memory. One study, for example, identified working memory improvements in young adults just 2 hours after consuming 773 milligrams of cocoa flavonols. Now it's time for today's best pick. In today's pick, we'll talk about one of our body parts that we don't think about the most, our nails. Most specifically, that white crescent shape at the base of our nails. What are those, and how do they relate to genius? Well, let's find out next with number 2. You have a very pronounced LUNULA. Experts seem to think that being a genius does have physical manifestations. Earlier on this list, we mentioned that people with blue eyes are more likely to have higher IQs than people with darker colored eyes. Another possible indicator of the hidden genius within you is the size of your LUNULA. It is the half-moon shape at the base of your fingernail. It's widely regarded by many that having a large LUNULA is a sign of being a genius. While this may seem a bit far-fetched, in truth and from a psychological perspective, a healthy LUNULA is widely regarded by experts and traditional Chinese medicine as an indicator of good health, energy, and immunity. Well, isn't it safe to say that a healthy body can also contribute to a healthier brain for improved cognitive function? All of that, of course, is pure speculation, and there is no study linking the size of the LUNULA with higher than normal cognitive functions. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. You swear a lot. The use of obscene or taboo language, or swearing as it's more commonly known, is often seen as a sign that the speaker lacks vocabulary, can't express themselves in a less offensive way, or even lacks intelligence. Or is it? Studies have shown that swearing may in fact display a more rather than less intelligent use of language. Psychologists interested in when and why people swear try to look past the stereotype that swearing is the language of the unintelligent and illiterate. In fact, a study by psychologists from Marist College found links between how fluent a person is in the English language and how fluent they are in swearing. To test this, they asked volunteers to think of as many swear words as they can in a specified amount of time. They also asked the same volunteers to think of words that begin with a specific letter. By comparing scores from both the verbal and swearing fluency tasks, it was found that the people who scored highest on the verbal fluency test also tended to do best on the swearing fluency task. The weakest in the verbal fluency test also did poorly on the swearing fluency task. What this correlation suggests is that swearing isn't simply a sign of language poverty, lack of general vocabulary, or even low intelligence. Instead, swearing appears to be a feature of language that an articulate speaker can use in order to communicate with maximum effectiveness. Do you have any of these signs or behaviors? Let us know in the comments section down below. Also, check out our other amazing videos that you might have missed out on. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody.